Like the worst person in the world to teach you how to cook because I don't use a lot of measurements. I use more like eyeballing it. But I'm going to show you the easiest, definitely not the fastest, but the easiest, simplest bread recipe you can do. Okay, it's as simple as this. In this bowl, I have 3 cups of bread flour. I got White Lily because that's what was on sale. I typically use like the King Arthur because I just like the way it tastes better. Maybe it's just in my head, don't know. You just throw in a dash of salt, and I'll put the ingredient list up on the screen. Just a little dash of salt with the flour, and that's all you got for your dry ingredients. Over here, you use 2/3 a cup of something sweet. Today I've got brown sugar in. Typically I use honey. I'm just out of honey. Then I have 1 packet of yeast and 2 cups of warm water. That's it. That's it, guys. And this will make homemade bread. And of course you'll need a little bit of oil, oil to, you know, roll it in. But this is just as simple as it gets. You wait until this is nice and foamy like it is. And then you just dump it on in. And then once you've got it all dumped in, you'll mix it to make a flour, and then you will knead it, and I'll show you that. So I kind of start out with a fork at first just because it is nothing but water. But then once we get to a certain point, I'll put a little flour on my hands, peel it off the fork, and then start working it. And just work it into a pretty dough here. It's super simple actually. Sometimes I have the kids help me with this, so. They are in the bedroom today playing like good children at the moment so that you can actually hear what's being said. And then I've got a lot of dough on my fingers. And then you want to flour the surface really, really well. I've actually seen like these little shaker things that people have. I thought that was really cool. I've yet to make one, but I thought that was a very neat idea. It's just a little shaker. Set that to the side, and then you're just gonna work the dough and knead it. If you need extra flour, I keep it right beside me for that very reason. And you're just gonna knead it, knead it, knead it. All right. Okay, so I washed my hands, washed the bowl nice and clean, and it's super simple. You basically are just going to put a little bit of oil. I don't really measure it, to be honest with you. I just kind of eyeball it, just enough to kind of coat the bottom. And then you take your pretty little dough. It looks really soft, and I kind of tuck it as I'm going. I don't really know if that does anything, but that's just what I do. I set it down in the bowl. I don't know how well you can see. I set it down in the bowl, and then I just kind of toss it over a couple of times to coat it completely with oil. And then the next, okay, so I washed my hands, washed the bowl nice and clean. And it's super simple. You basically are just going to put a little bit of oil. I don't really measure it, to be honest with you. I just kind of eyeball it, just enough to kind of coat the bottom. And then you take your pretty little dough. It looks really soft, and I kind of tuck it as I'm going. I don't really know if that does anything, but that's just what I do. I set it down in the bowl. I don't know how well you can see. I set it down in the bowl, and then I just kind of toss it over a couple of times to coat it completely with oil. And then the next, so I'll quickly show you. This is what the bread dough looks like. It is coated in the oil. It is in the bowl, and I've got a towel. I just literally covered in nice hot water, and then I just drape it over. There's different ways to proof. You can, I've done this before too. You can put this bowl in the oven. Some people turn it on, but what I have found with that is, you know, if you're using plastic bowls, it's going to melt. Or if, you know, your oven temperature is a little bit different, even on the lowest setting possible, you could actually start cooking the dough instead of making it rise. So what I normally do, if I don't do this method is what I do if I have time to watch it. Because about every 10 minutes, every 10 to 15 minutes, I need to reheat my towel, re-wet it, reheat it, to continue the rising. If I don't do that, and I don't have time to watch it, then I'll take this bowl with a towel on it, and the towel's damp, and I'll toss it in the oven with a pot of very, very hot water underneath it inside the pot or inside the oven. And what it does is it keeps the oven warm, that it retains that heat. And so it's just warm enough to make it rise, but not warm enough to cook it. So we'll go to the next step in just a little bit. We're going to let this rise for 1 hour. It's been rising for about 30 to 45 minutes. And so as you can see, it's doubled in size, and it will get even bigger as it bakes. Sometimes I score the top, sometimes I don't. It doesn't really change anything with this particular bread, whether you score it or whether you don't. I just like the way it looks. Today I'm not going to deal with scoring it, so pop it in the oven, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. All right, camera focus. Yes, my oven is dirty. They look done to me. Nice and crusty looking. So we'll pop those out. Okay, so for the sake of the video, and for those of you who are learning to bake this, I figured it would probably be nice if I timed it. 20 minutes. 20 minutes is all it took to bake. So now you know how long to cook it. So this is a super simple bread recipe. Anybody can do it. You could make one giant loaf if you wanted to, or two small, or do what I do, one small, one big. But this is super simple. You don't need to sit and babysit it constantly. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will tell you that this house smells fantastic. If you've never smelt fresh baking bread, you are totally missing out. So go out there and try to make this bread recipe. Love you guys. See you later.